Welcome to the Exceptional Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Anita Brooks, and here you'll find teaching topics, interviews, conversations, and coaching tips, all designed to help you level up. We all lead someone. The question is, are we leading well, exceptionally well? So join me on a quest, not for perfection, but absolutely for exceptional leadership. Exceptional leaders, this episode is one that I really want you to pay close attention to. This is one of the most popular topics I am ever asked to speak into or about when I'm doing my business coaching. So when you understand more of what I'm going to share with you today, I promise this can save you money, time, and energy for the organization, for your people, and definitely for you as a leader. So we're going to talk about communicating with P4 personality. See, I have been doing this work with personalities for decades now. And through not only my education and the certifications that I've went through, but also in application, I have learned so much about how to better communicate with people of different personalities, and frankly, those who are the same as mine. And so I want to go deep and share with you some of the insights that I have learned, because I'm telling you, it can help you get what you need to get done faster, more effectively, more efficiently, and for sure, more profitably. So we're going to talk about today interpreting personalities through foreign language, or let me reword that. We're going to talk about interpreting foreign language personalities. So let me tell you what I mean by that. Each personality type, and in my P4 personality perspective, I use the 4 labels of popular, powerful, perfect, and peaceful. I do this because I wanted to create a program that was simpler for people to remember, easier to understand, and definitely more efficient for them to be able to implement into their lives. This can make your work and your home life better when you understand how to be intentional in how you communicate with people, when you understand your personality better and you understand theirs. So we're going to talk today a lot about the primary and secondary personalities, and we're going to get very specific in each of these. So I just want to say to you, if you have not listened to my previous episodes on the foundations and the basics of P4 personality perspective, I strongly urge you, turn this episode off, go back and listen to those episodes, because you're going to want to have that information under your belt so that you can better glean what I'm going to share with you today. I am passionate about helping to make the world a better place for people, professionally and personally, by sharing what I've learned and what I continue to learn about human personality. So again, we are going to talk about interpreting foreign languages between personalities, because I believe each type has some of their own language built in, and they assume that everybody else understands that. And frankly, a lot of times people don't. And so we have communication misfires. We have communication misinterpretations. We have communication frustrations. And so again, a lot of this can help alleviate it. And today I want to focus on the foreign personality aspect when you are speaking to different personality types. Now, next episode, you're not going to want to miss, because next week I'm going to talk about listening through the lens of P4 personality. But this week we're going to talk about speaking to. So I want to give you just a little bit of foundation here. So on my website, anitabrooks.com, AnitaBrooks.com, I have a free resource, and it's a downloadable. If you've not gotten it before, this is something you may want to have on the ready. You can try to imagine what I'm talking about, but even better if you have this resource in front of you. But it is my P4 personality quick tips. And on there, I have a grid that shows the 4 personality types that I work with. It has some bullet points of characteristics or traits under each personality type. It's just a short list. But it also, the layout of this, the way that I've got that formatted, that's applicable to what we're going to be talking about today. Because see, when you look at that grid, what you're going to understand is that there are 8 combinations of possible personality mixes between the primary and the secondary. Okay. So if you look at my grid, you'll see that there's popular, top left, powerful, top right, perfect, bottom right, peaceful, bottom left. I've laid those out with intent. And the more that you hear me talk about the P4 personality perspective, you're going to understand why this is crucial information. For one, those mixes can only follow the square. They can never truly follow the X. If I get a personality assessment, and by the way, if you've not taken the P4 personality perspective assessment, you can again go to AnitaBrooks.com. It's free. You can take it there. It takes a few minutes and get your results immediately when you're done. No strings attached. I'm not going to hound you. It's just information that I share with the world because I want to help all of us be able to work together more effectively. And so P4 personality perspective is one of those ways that I know from hearing from hundreds, probably thousands now, of people who have told me that it's been life-changing. And I want this to help change your life and your leadership as well. But when you look at that grid, I want you to understand that the 8 possible combinations are this. You can be a popular peaceful, or you can be a popular powerful. Never a popular perfect, because that would be like a diagonal. That's a polar opposite mix. If I get an assessment back and it shows either a popular perfect or a perfect popular, I know that one of a few things has happened with that assessment. Either the person rushed through and they really weren't fully connected to what they were answering. Maybe they misinterpreted some of the questions. Maybe there was life conditioning that has caused them to sometimes operate outside of their true nature. Or sometimes it comes from past trauma or abuse. And so because of things that have happened, and especially if it happens in childhood, that can cause what I call masking, where we get so adept at masking our true self, trying to walk on eggshells with this other situation or within, with other people, so that we lose sight of our true nature, our true selves. And so when I get those kinds of assessments, 9.8 times out of 10, I can look at the assessment, look at the questions as they were answered, and it usually, because of my vast years of experience in doing this, I can figure out rather quickly what their true personality mix is. Now, this is also why I caution people, even though I have worked hard, I've dedicated myself to making the P4 personality perspective as simple and as easy to use as possible so that people can better remember it and utilize the information. It also comes with a little bit of danger because I've done that. There are some people who think, because they've heard me speak on it one time, they've taken the assessment, maybe they've read a little bit, maybe they've read my ebook on the P4 personality perspective, which goes very in depth, that suddenly they're qualified to go assess other people. Be careful with that, please. You can actually cause harm to other people. You can use the information to do some very basic assessments. That's not a problem. But be very careful if you don't have the qualifications, the education, the expertise, that you don't go around trying to deeply assess people's personalities and start telling people who they are. Because if you don't know what you're talking about, or you think you know what you're talking about, but you're incorrect or inaccurate, you actually could cause harm. So be very careful with that. But I digressed. So again, not going to see the polar opposite like that angle. So you're either going to be, again, a popular peaceful or popular powerful. You're maybe a powerful popular or a powerful perfect. You may be a perfect powerful or a perfect peaceful. You may be a peaceful perfect or a peaceful popular. And again, if you're looking at the grid, as much as that may sound confusing, if you're only listening auditorially, you may not really grasp it, but I promise if you look at the visual of the grid, it's going to make a lot of sense. But there's never going to be a true popular perfect, perfect popular, or powerful peaceful, peaceful powerful. Okay, got all that out of the way. Let's dig in to interpreting foreign language personalities. And today, again, the focus is going to be if you are speaking to individuals with these mixes. And I'm going to go through all of the 8 combination possibilities. Okay, so let's say that you are speaking to a popular, powerful personality. So some tips that I would give you to help make things work out more effectively, so things are more accurate, there's greater engagement, fewer errors, less frustration, is this. When you're speaking to a popular powerful, tell people stories to give examples when you can. Give colorful details and adjectives, but don't overdo it. With a popular powerful, if you overload them with detail, you are going to see their eyes glaze over. And if you're that perfect polar opposite to the popular, that's going to be a tendency for you. You naturally want to give all the detail because you think it's all important, but really analyze that before you start sharing information. And when I talk about communication, this goes for conversation, verbal conversations you may have, text messages, and definitely email. I know many a popular, powerful personality who expresses great frustration because they get these long, heavily laden, detailed emails from people in their organization, and they just glaze out. It's overwhelming. They can't deal with all that information, especially in one setting. So if you are speaking to, and when I use the term speaking, I want you to know it could be verbal or it could be written. But when you are speaking to a popular, powerful, don't overload the detail, okay? That powerful side of them just wants the bullet points and the highlights. So the popular side, overwhelmed by detail, powerful side wants the concise, brief bullets. And so when you put that together, you need to ask yourself and use this as a filter, what detail is truly crucial and what detail doesn't really matter with the point you're trying to make or the question that you're trying to ask or the progress that you're looking for. And if it's not truly crucial, then you need to cut it out. Don't add that. Just keep it short. Something else about the popular powerful when you are communicating with them is to make sure that they feel accepted, appreciated, and for who they are as well as for what they do. Make sure that they know that they have your full attention, like make eye contact. Don't be trying to multitask. In general, multitasking when you are in communication with anyone is rude. Okay, let me just say it. That is not an exceptional leadership trait to multitask when you're in communication. But if you look at people in the eye, if you nod, put a smile on your face, people tend to share more important information when they feel like they have your acceptance and you're not rushing them, or you're being impatient or judgmental, or any of those things that sometimes we project out and we don't even understand that we're doing. So again, keep this in mind with your popular powerfuls. Keep the communication short and to the point. Give a little bit of appreciation for their achievements and get to the bottom line quickly. Give them a quick sound bite and then let them jump in. And let me just say this too. You may not have to let them jump in. If they're popular, powerful, they're going to have a natural tendency to interrupt and cut off in conversation. And that can feel very frustrating when you're on the receiving end of that. Take a breath though. Understand this is not something that they are doing intentionally. As a matter of fact, most popular powerfuls are not even consciously aware that they're doing it. It's a subconscious thing. Or their self-talk, a lot of times, as soon as they blurt out and they cut someone off, the guilt just ensues them. Okay. So just release it, let it go, and then come back to where you were and continue making your point whenever they finish. Okay. Just again, understand that's not something that they're doing to try to make you miserable. It's just something that they're going to have an inner wrestling with till they take their last breath. I'm not saying it's right, by the way. I'm just saying it is what it is. So we can complain about the way things should be, or we can deal with reality. And this is a reality when you're dealing with the popular powerful. But going back to some other tips to, provide supporting detail only if it's critical to the situation or if they ask. Do not bombard them with multiple little pieces of information. And when possible, make a list. Remember, bullet points only. And give it to them in a way that's going to be appropriate and most likely for them to be able to find and digest, and where they will. And one thing to keep in mind too with popular powerfuls, the powerful side of the personality is always looking to get to things quickly, quick solutions, quick movements, quick progress. And so they are notorious for not reading emails to the end. Even text messages, they oftentimes won't read all the way to the end. So you better keep it short and sweet as much as possible. Even if you have to break up something you need to communicate into 3 or 4 messages versus just one, it's better to do that because the odds are going to be a lot higher that they will read the whole thing if it's short and concise. But if you send them, and oh, God love you, perfect personalities. I know several out there with current coaching clients that I have where there are perfect personalities in leadership positions, and they will send, if you printed it out, sometimes it's 4, 5, 6, 7 pages long because it's so heavy with detail, because a perfect personality thinks that every detail matters. And to a powerful, and especially a popular powerful, it just feels overwhelming. And again, their eyes will just glaze over and they're just like, I can't read all this right now. And they may even have good intentions of getting back to that information, but most of the time they won't. They will procrastinate. They will tune out your message because it's just information overload. So don't do that with your popular powerful if you want them to digest what you need them to understand. And just make sure that you are dealing with the highest priorities as soon as possible. If you are in a telephone conversation with them or in-person conversation with them, so it's verbal, sometimes the popular powerful will start sounding curt. You may take it as them being rude. It may sound judgmental to you. But remember this, oftentimes in their mind, they just want you to get to the point so they can move on. And for sure, there are times they're rushing things too much. Just take a deep breath. And sometimes one of the best things that you can communicate to a popular powerful is to say, I know that this is a lot of information. I know that you probably have other things you really need to get to, but I want you to understand it's critical that you know this, and this is why. Give them the why behind the what. And usually, especially in business, you want to attach some kind of monetary, financial value to it because their brain can connect with that. And then they understand, oh, this really is important. Okay, I need to slow my roll and I need to pay closer attention to what they're saying. Okay, hopefully that helps. Now, let's say you're speaking to a popular peaceful. Now, same driving personality type, both of these popular drivers or primary personalities, but it's going to be a very different vibe. Okay. So here are the things you need to know if you are speaking to a popular peaceful. Now, you still want to tell people stories. You still want to give colorful details and adjectives. You still want to make them feel accepted. As a matter of fact, even more so with a popular peaceful. You want them to feel appreciated, that, they have your full attention, and you want them to feel approved for who they are as well. Okay. But you also want to make sure that you are showing respect. The peaceful secondary part of this personality mix oftentimes feels insecure. They are treated as if they are inferior sometimes, or less intelligent, or sometimes they're treated as if they're completely invisible. This has been an experience that they've probably had over and over again, or being treated, especially if they're popular peaceful, as if they're a bother, or as if they're just, obnoxious, or people just barely tolerate them. These are the experiences they have. So sometimes the popular peaceful will fight even more to get attention if they feel like they don't have your full attention. Best thing you can do is take a deep breath, give them that attention. It will help to calm their soul a little bit. Don't tune them out. Show them respect and look for the positives and give them positive reinforcement in what they're saying. But another thing is, especially if you are giving direction, if that's what you're communicating to a popular peaceful, do not give them a lot of choices. That will feel overwhelming to a popular peaceful. 3 choices at most, or 3 directives, or 3 pieces of instruction at most. Because if there's too much information thrown at them one time, it can almost create an emotional paralysis. They're unsure where to start. They're unsure what direction to move in first. And so if you offer too much, then that overload on their emotions can cause them to just freeze up and not be able to make progress. And then you as a leader, you're just going to feel frustrated by that. And that can cause a big communication rift. So give them step-by-step short instructions. Again, 2 or 3 pieces of information or instruction or choice. And make sure too, with this personality type, especially, be careful of your tone of voice. Make sure it's not coming across too powerfully, too strong, too confidently, because if you don't soften things up a little bit with the popular peaceful, it's going to come across as intimidating. It's going to come across as almost antagonistic. And again, that's going to trigger emotions in them. And if the emotions are the thing that's going on in their brain, instead of listening, and again, it's going to be subconscious, they're not going to do this consciously, then they're not going to hear most of what you're trying to say, or even if they're reading something, they're not going to be able to absorb most of what you've written. So make sure that your tone has some warmth and welcome to it. Some of you personalities listening to this right now in leadership, you're going to have a little struggle with this. because you're going to be like, I don't have time for all that woo woo. I don't have time for all that, soft, fluffy stuff. If you don't soften it up, it's going to take you longer to get where you want to go. I promise. I know what I'm talking about. A little bit of, hi, hope your day is going well. Then go into what you're saying, you need to say. That little soft touch can help transition and ease the popular peaceful into not feeling like backed into a corner in the conversation. And something else with the popular peaceful. Make sure that you learn to say, I appreciate, and then you fill in the blank. Really look again for positive reinforcement. This personality mix, popular peaceful, thrives on positive reinforcement. So I appreciate, and then whatever that attribute is. I appreciate the way that you help everyone. I appreciate that you're so coachable. I appreciate the fact that you are so willing to collaborate and cooperate with others. I appreciate this skill set that you have, but find some things to mention that express appreciation for who they are. And something else with the popular peaceful, when you are in communication, give them focused one-on-one attention and let them finish what they're saying before you begin to speak. Be careful that you don't cut them off or interrupt them, because that can completely throw their brains into a tailspin, and they may have difficulty getting back to what they were saying, and they may never do it. And so because of that, you may miss critical pieces of information that you need as a leader from them. But you're going to have to be patient, and patience can be practiced. Okay. I promise. I know from experience, but practice patience. Let them complete what they're saying. Even if you think they're taking too long to get there, even if sometimes they seem to stumble over their words a little bit, let them say what they need to say. And don't show impatience, or you will lose the popular peaceful to fear and intimidation. Those emotions will overload their brain, and they won't even process or digest everything you've just tried to tell them. Okay, now let's move to our third personality mix. If you are speaking to a powerful popular, keep your communication short and to the point. Express some appreciation for some of their achievements. The powerful side of this personality especially thrives on accomplishment, and especially when they know that other people see their accomplishments. That is a positive reinforcement for them. But get to the bottom line quickly and just give them the concise, quick sound bites of information. And then they're probably, again, going to jump in sometimes. Let them jump in, say what they need to say, and then go back and finish what you were communicating. And this is in your verbal exchanges. And remember to give only the supporting details that are necessary to the situation. Don't bombard them with a lot of information overload. Just to the point. Keep it simple for them. And when possible for this personality mix, make a list so that they can go, because the popular side has that tendency to be forgetful at times. By having the written backup support, if you are in verbal communication, what that does is it allows them to go back and review those pieces of information that you want to make sure that they don't let slip their minds. Okay. Very important. In written communication, just making sure, again, you're keeping it short and concise. But if there are things that you want to make sure that they don't forget, make sure you provide that in writing for them. And this personality, because especially their powerful driver, they oftentimes can start getting antsy or, looking frustrated, impatient, because in their minds, there's always all these things that they need to do. And if you're a leader and you're giving them some kind of direction or instruction, a lot of times, that there's important detail that they still don't have, but they're sitting there going, okay, I got it. Okay, let me go. I'll go get it done. Sometimes just remind them, hey, look, I know you're anxious to get started, but there are critical pieces of data you need in order to complete this and do it well. Oftentimes, just by saying something like that, that's going to be enough to help them take a breath and then stay focused on the information that you need to give them. And remember again, popular is the secondary in the powerful popular mix, but it's still important for them to have those storied examples, those anecdotes, if you can, that connect to the why behind the what. It gives a little bit of descriptive, some colorful adjectives, things like that kind of helps their brain visualize what it is that you want them to know. And just making sure, again, that they don't feel like you're tuning out or you're distracted or only half paying attention to what you're saying to them. Make sure that they understand that you are fully engaged in the conversation with them. By doing that, then you're powerful popular, especially if they are provided the resources and the tools. And, maybe again, that the part of that is that list of very important detail that you want to make sure they don't forget. If they have all that, most of the time they'll run with it and they'll go and they'll get the job done. Okay. Now let's say that you're speaking to a powerful, perfect personality. So again, the powerful is the driver. So you want to keep the communication short and to the point. You want to, positively reinforce their achievements, but you want to get to the bottom line quickly in quick sound bites or bullet points. Let them jump in, give them supporting details only if it's crucial to the situation or if they ask, and just don't bombard them with a multiplicity of detail. But with this personality too, you want to remember that the perfect side of their nature is going to be someone that sometimes feels like that people just come at them. And so if you can just simply say to them to begin, especially if this is verbal for a phone call or an in-person, just say, is this a good time to talk? And then when they are speaking, being very careful that you don't disrupt or interrupt or cut off them when they're talking. Be respectful and mindful that this personality mix, this personality type, it's very important for them to be able to complete things. So, try not to interrupt activities or prior commitments that they have or projects that they're working on. And respect their time, space, and silence and their schedule. So, as a leader, there may be something that's extremely important that needs to be done on the spot, regardless of what they were working on before. So if again, you can tell this personality mix, the why behind the what, hey, I understand, you're focused on some other things and I wouldn't do this to you if it wasn't critical. But we have an urgent situation and I really need your help with this now. Can you help me get this done, or can you take care of this? And then when that's all accomplished, then you can go back and finish what you're working on now. Can I ask that of you? I'm telling you right now, you'll get their cooperation, but because you showed them the respect of asking instead of just talking at them, they will be engaged at such a higher level, and you won't get any inner resistance or passive aggressiveness from them. And then just give them factual, orderly details. This is not a chit-chat personality. They don't need the warm fuzzies. They don't want a lot of emotion or for you to be real emotive. It's just like, give me the facts. Just the facts, Jack. And, if they seem like even they're a little bit melancholy or disengaged, remember that this is not an emotive personality mix. So a lot of times, what may appear on the surface as disengagement is simply their way of approaching life. They're a very balanced personality mix. The powerful side is emotive to a degree, but most of the time, their approach is just going to be factual. It's going to be matter of fact, and it's going to come across as more of a monotone. Okay. So if you don't get a lot of emotion, it doesn't mean that they're not engaged. Watch what they do, not how they respond to you, and let that be your measurement. And just prepare them in advance when you can, and think about what you're going to say, because if you start trying to give them instruction, or even if you're asking a question and you seem to be meandering all over the place and you don't have a real point, a clear point that they can connect to, you can lose this personality very quickly because they're going to be distracted by all the other things that they need to get done. So just keep that in mind when you are communicating with the powerful perfect. And I think that you'll be happy with a lot of the results that you get from there. Okay. If you're speaking to a perfect peaceful, ask them if it's a good time to talk, if it's going to be some kind of verbal, again, on the phone or Zoom or in person. Don't interrupt their activities or projects that they're working on, if at all possible. Respect their time, space, silence, schedule, any of those things. It feels very disrespectful to them if it's always like, well, your time is important, but you don't see their time as important. Your space is important, but you don't see their space as being important. If you don't understand their need for silence to be able to think, to be able to process, to be able to analyze, maybe to be able to research and review, that feels disrespectful to them. And if you don't show respect for their schedule, then those are the type of issues that can just undermine your communication right from the get-go. Anytime you're dealing with a perfect personality. And this is not a personality type that wants you prying into their business and trying to do small talk with them. Again, they don't want a lot of the warm and fuzzy. Just give them the facts, orderly details. You don't have to be real emotive with them. If they're not smiling and laughing, it's not your job to cheer them up. It's just, you want to make sure you just get to the point, keep it in as calm, as almost like a monotone decibel as possible. This is what I need from you. You don't have to elevate your voice with this personality, and you'll be amazed just by doing that. And also being careful not to speak too fast to this personality. Don't bombard them with a big old long lengthy text or email, but make sure that when you're in communication, it is concise, it is calm, and it is factual. That will get you a long way with this personality type. You do want to keep it positive, and you don't want to overwhelm with, again, choice or instruction. You just want to make sure that it's like 2 or 3 things that you focus on. If you need 10 things from a perfect, peaceful personality mix, then give them 3 at a time. But don't give them 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, or all 10, because I'm telling you right now, you will quickly lose them, and they're not going to be able to process all of that. Make sure that with this personality mix, you're perfect peaceful, that it is positive reinforcement. Praise them for, something that they do well, or something that you really are grateful for about them, and give this communication a focused one-on-one attention. So again, if you're in person, on a video call of any kind, or on the phone, make sure that there's no distraction going on, because whether they can see you or not, they'll sense any kind of distraction. If you think you can multitask when you're in communication, especially with a perfect peaceful, you're sadly mistaken. I don't recommend it for any personality exchange, but I'm telling you, especially with this mix, don't go there. You will lose them. And then let them finish saying what they need to say. If you ask them a question, if they have something to offer in this communication, let them say it. Don't be impatient with them. Don't make them, feel fearful or intimidated by your approach. And a lot of times, if with this personality mix, if you just simply say, I really need your help. I don't know how I'm going to get this done if I don't have your help. You are so good at A, B, and C. But letting them know that help is what you're looking for, that's a key word in communication and in increasing engagement with your perfect, peaceful personality. Okay, perfect powerfuls. So perfect powerfuls, you're going to ask them if it's a good time to talk. Again, being respectful as much as is possible within your power to not interrupt previous activities or projects that they're working on. Being respectful of their time, space, silence, and schedule. Making sure that you just keep it factual, provide orderly details, no chit chat, not a lot of emotion, not trying to cheer them up if you feel like, they're down. And when possible, with this perfect personality driver, give them some advance notice. Like, let them know that you're going to want to talk about whatever topic it is before you go and meet with them. And then think through what you're going to say. You may even want to have notes so that you stay to the point, so you're not wandering all around. Keep your communication short and concise. Remember again to, talk about some of their achievements and saying, this is why I think you're the right person for the job, or you're the person I need in this. And if they, have a need to jump in and share something, then let them do it. And make sure you ask them if they have something to share as well. This personality is an introverted personality. They're more outspoken than their peaceful counterparts, but still yet they do need sometimes to be drawn out to share everything that they have to offer. And make sure that, you let them know if something is a high priority level, that they understand that, because that may help them take a breath if they need to set something else aside. But assure them that they'll be able to come back and complete what they're working on now. And if they come across as like snappy or rude or impatient with you, understand a lot of times they're just focused on what needs to be done. They're just being factual. They're not trying to be rude. I think that'll help a lot with that. Okay. Peaceful popular. So the peaceful is an introvert. The popular side of them is an extrovert. So the peaceful side of the personality, you want to be respectful. If you're in person or on video with them, you want to make sure you're looking them in the eye. You want to give them positive reinforcement. So look for the positives that you can spotlight. Don't overwhelm them with choices or directives or instructions. Give them step-by-step short instructions. Make sure that you let them know what you appreciate about them and give them one-on-one attention. And when they're speaking, let them finish what they're saying. Don't be impatient. Don't cut them off. Don't stir fear and intimidation in them because, you're just trying to hurry up. Because this personality, sometimes when they are responding to something you've asked or something you've said, they're actually processing some of that out loud. And it's going to take them sometimes a little bit longer than it will other personalities to go through that process. But I promise if you do this personality mix, they will get there. And when they do, they'll oftentimes get it on the first try or for sure on the second try. Another thing, because the popular is their secondary, the anecdotes, the stories that give examples, especially if there are people connected to those stories, providing a little colorful detail, some adjectives, making them feel accepted and appreciated for who they are and as if they have your full attention, that can go a long way to their responsiveness when you need to speak to a peaceful popular, and especially if it's coming from some kind of a leadership position where you need to guide them, direct them, ask something of them. But that will help a lot when you're speaking to that personality mix. And then finally, the peaceful, perfect personality. Now, this is all introvert, okay? Deep introvert personality. So understand that a lot of times when you're speaking to a peaceful perfect, unless you draw information out of them by asking questions and then show patience in allowing them to answer, you're not going to see a lot of engagement. They're going to be very quiet. You might get a lot of head nodding and some smiles, but not a lot of words. And let that be okay unless there's critical information you need from them. And if so, ask them if it's feasible. Ask them if they need time to gather information before they respond. Give them that opportunity. If that is not feasible, then be careful when you pose the question or ask for something from them that you allow them time to process and give you that response. So there may be a lot of pregnant pauses. There may be periods of even a minute or two where it's just you sit in silence. And if you are an extrovert, that's going to feel difficult, awkward for you. But let it happen so that they can process and think in silence and provide you with the information that you need. And so many times when we're speaking to someone, we speak really fast, which, by the way, if you're speaking really fast, and especially at a louder decibel, that by itself can be intimidating to a fully introverted personality. Slow your speech pattern down, lower your decibel, and make sure you're intentional to keep your voice sounding calm. And then only give up to 3 choices or pieces of instruction or directives. Exercise patience with them. Focus on having a smile on your face. Let them process. Let them fully explain or answer or provide information without you cutting them off. And you will be amazed at how much faster things will get done. It may seem like it would be the opposite, like because you're intentionally going slower at the front end, that it's going to slow down progress. In fact, it's going to speed it up. Because the more that a peaceful perfect feels confident and comfortable in your presence or from your written communication, the more quickly they're going to be able to process information and to be able to be responsive to you. It will get you a long, long way. I know this has been a lot of information, and for some of you, you may want to go back and listen to it a few times over, but I promise you, I have been doing this work again for decades, and I have seen the results when we in leadership roles will consider the personalities of people that we are speaking to. And when we will interpret their foreign personality languages, in a way that's appropriate for them, it helps us get what we need as leaders faster. It does help increase the income, prime the profits, and strengthen the sustainability of our American organizations. This personality, P4 personality perspective, is the foundation of the people side of my people, processes, performance, and net profitability focus of P4 Power Coaching. And it's that way because I've learned if we don't tackle this first, if we are not intentional with our people first and meeting their intrinsic needs where they are based on their personality wiring, we're going to spend a lot of our time with trying to take out the splinters where we've shoved square pegs into round holes, where we're going off thinking that, we've communicated well and the other person knows what needs to be done, only to find out that we had misfires and misinterpretations. But when we are intentional to communicate in a way that's best absorbable by that personality type, we'll get the results that we need, and we'll get them faster, deeper, we'll go wider, and it will, at the end of the day, prime those profits, strengthen the sustainability, and we will not only be able to have a better business for a longer period of time, but it will be more enjoyable for all of us as we go about our work days. If you have any questions, you can always email me at info@anitabrooks.com. And by the way, I rarely ever ask this, but I need to be more intentional to do so. If you are getting benefit from these podcast episodes, would you do me a big favor? Would you just rate and review this podcast, the Exceptional Leadership Podcast? You have no idea how helpful that can be. It helps others find the podcast. And look, I'm getting nothing for this. I'm doing this as an investment in you, an investment in other leaders, but it's mostly an investment in our country. And so it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, not just for the recording, but also for the editing and the uploading and all the other behind the scenes things that have to take place when you produce a podcast. So if this information or any other information from my podcast has helped you at all, please, please, please just rate and review us. I would appreciate it. And remember, next time we're going to talk about interpreting foreign personality languages from the perspective of listening. But until then, I will remind you, as always, exceptional leader, stay intentional and be exceptional. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Exceptional Leadership Podcast. There's magic in meeting with an objective, and I always have an objective for you, not only in these episodes, but also from the other resources I offer on my website, anitabrooks.com. That's ANITABROOKS.com. There you'll find information on digital courses, webinars, books, workbooks, of course, my in-person P4 power coaching for businesses and organizations. And if you need a speaker for your conference or your strategic retreat, I'm your gal. But I'm also excited to let you know about a new service that we're offering. For less than half the price of a daily Starbucks latte for a month, you can join our P4 Power Coaching community. This is a monthly membership where you'll get insider tips. And you'll also be able to join our monthly Zoom meetings that are one part strategy sessions, one part mastermind, one part networking, one part coaching. I can promise you, you'll not only learn from me, but you'll learn from others in the group. We'll also have monthly webinars as part of the P4 Power Coaching community, and we'll have coaching resources and exercises. And you'll get first opportunities and special offers for many of the other things that we have to offer. And of course, you will get leadership encouragements. The P4 Power Coaching community is all about growth, success, and celebrating our wins. And remember, it's never too late for a fresh start with fresh faith. So embrace your exceptional leadership impact with fresh resolve to make the difference you were made for.